how can we make sure that our work is clear to others, especially as STEM professionals when we are explaining to stakeholders, decision makers who probably don't know a lot about our field and our work. Specifically, what I want to address today is this phenomenon that I noticed while working with my clients, and that's that as STEM professionals, we are trained to sort of think in this cause-consequence way. So what happens is that whenever we are explaining a result, for example, I was working recently with a client of mine and they had to explain their results. So they started by explaining the methods. Like, okay, I will explain the result, but let me first laying the groundwork and really explain the method and where does this result even come from. So we are really trained to work in that way and think and then talk and explain our work in that way. Okay, first I'm going to explain my method, and then I'm going to say what the method says, like, okay, the method showed that this result is the one. And here is what it means. What happens and why this doesn't work is quite obvious, I would say, because as STEM professionals, I said we are trained to do so, but when we are talking to people who are not trained to do so, and they shouldn't be trained, right? They function in a different way and their brain is structured or structures information and perceives information in a different way. It creates sort of this dissonance, right? We are explaining something that seems so logical to us, and yet to them, it's like, why are you telling me all of that if the only thing I care about is the result? So as STEM professionals, we are trained to think in terms of method, result. Method causes this and this result. Method shows this and this result. And what actually works when we have to talk to people who are not from our field is to talk from the impact. Like, instead of bringing the method, like a method forward way to explain, like this method implies and gives this result, we talk about the result and what is the impact of the result, okay? Because those people really don't care about the method. They know that we are doing some sort of data stuff, analysis, maybe some coding and so on, but they honestly couldn't care less. What they care about is the result and how does it impact them? How does it save money? How does it save time? How does it make this entire process that they're interested in more effective? So that's what we should focus on. And I know that when I talked with that client that I mentioned earlier, I said, but why are you talking so much about the method? Why are you focusing on the how part so much? And they said, well, what am I supposed to talk about if I'm not going to talk about the method? And then we had this discussion of what do these people care about? Do they care about the method? Do they care about the way this result was achieved? Or do they care about the result and the impact? And when we did this sort of analysis of the audience and this paradigm shift, it sort of became quite clear how the entire presentation should go. Like, what is the important part? And what is the important part of the presentation? What is the highlight? And what should you really emphasize while you talk and explain your work? So this is something, shifts like that might sound subtle, but they are actually the thing that make the most difference when it comes to people understanding your work. And whenever we talk to someone, especially in more professional settings where stakes are high, right? For example, you are pitching some project for some funding, you are trying to get a promotion. It is really important for you to show what is the result of your work, and most importantly, provide context of how does this result impact those people. Because when you do so, it is not only going to become much easier for you to prepare your talks, your presentations, reports, and so on, but it is going to have a huge impact on your career, because people are not going to perceive you as the nerd from the background, but as the go-to expert they need to take into consideration for the next steps of the project. So if this is something that resonated with you and you're like, yeah, maybe I should rethink the way I communicate, and you would like to train that muscle of how do I express my work, how do I structure it so that other people can understand it, I want to invite you to join my coaching program in which we do exactly that. I am a biophysicist and a STEM professional communication coach, and I help STEM professionals improve their communication skills so that they can get promoted, recognized, and that even if they are searching for funding, they can get the funding for their projects. So if you're interested in this kind of support, I will leave a link down below in the description where you can schedule a completely free discovery call with me, where you can share your exact struggles, your exact challenges that you're facing right now in your STEM career, and see, of course, if we are a good fit to work together. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it useful, and see you next time in another video. Bye bye.